Plus 3 degrees, and now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Now then, you're welcome along. So busy show this evening. Stay tuned for a special announcement. We've already had Ronan O'Gara join the Off the Ball family today. You might have seen we will be announcing another edition very, very shortly. GAA Greatness is joining the team. On Wednesday Night Rugby, we've got Eddie O'Sullivan and Roy O'Connor. There is much to discuss. And on the football show, Paul Gammond has continued his FA Cup heroics. He's going to check in after 9 o'clock. Plus, Kenny Cunningham in studio as Man City travel to Goodison. Hello, Kenny.
Evening, Joe.
How are you?
Yeah, all good.
All good. Richie McCormick here as well. Hello, Rich.
Well, how are you?
53106 is the text number. Do get in touch. We're at Off the Ball as well. So, big evening, big day here on Off the Ball. Ronan O'Gara joined the Off the Ball family. As you well know, I saw you in studio this morning. Very interesting chat.
Yeah, well, we had a conversation last night in terms of whether I'd actually make it in this morning. I'm glad I did.
It was great.
I really enjoyed the interview.
He's an incredibly thoughtful person. Deep.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but very... what struck me about it, kind of Ronan, and I've seen in a couple of the ex-rugby lads, not that I know any of them too well, but I like how they carry themselves. Like there's a healthy dose of humility that they carry around with them, I think.
Personable, like.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. You know, nothing showy. What you see is what you get. And when you consider what these players have achieved, Ronan in particular, and the likes of Brian O'Driscoll and a number of others, particularly the rugby lads, I think it's great. I think we should be so proud of him, and Ronan in particular, in terms of the career path he's gone down as well. I think is really exciting. You know, he's got himself out of comfort zone and really looks as if he's determined to learn and develop as a coach and prepared to pack his bag and move his family and
it's not easy.
And travel to do. It's not easy, like, so. Yeah, it's a great story, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed listening to him.
As a matter of interest, this may be not the time to get into it. So you've spoken there of your admiration for a lot of the rugby lads. Were you ever conscious that there was a rugby v football thing, maybe in terms of perception? I would have thought around the time, especially when it wasn't going well under Staunton and things were starting to go very well with the rugby lads, that there was almost this sense that, well, the footballers are paid too much, they're pampered, and look at these rugby lads putting their bodies on the line, and that perception was out there that they almost cared more and that they were pitted against the football team in that way. Were you aware of that? That was sort of going on?
Not so much aware of it. I can actually understand it if that kind of attitude was out there. You talking about amongst the general sporting public.
It's hard to speak for everyone, but I felt it. Yeah.
I never felt to say, like I said, I wouldn't have felt it necessarily from the rugby players as such. I think it's always a healthy respect between players and the football. So wherever it is, football, the GAA, hurling and the rugby, there's almost a little bit of a code there between, in terms of healthy respect between the players, whatever sport that you play. But yeah, in terms of like the general sporting public, looking at the kind of monies players have earned, particularly over the last kind of 10 to 15 years. Yeah, no, do you know what? I can understand it. I really can. And particularly like how professional the rugby game has become, and there's been a few windows opened up in terms of how dedicated the rugby players are, how committed they are, how serious they take the sport, even on the international stage. So I've really enjoyed that in terms of watching the journey the rugby team been on the last kind of 10, 15 years, even the provincial sides. I think it's great, and I've said maybe a little bit in certain quarters as opposed to this little bit of a rub between the football and it's always been there, the football and the GAA a little bit, isn't it? But the kind of rugby's been thrown in there as well the last, in certain small quarters. But I've never understood it, to be honest with you. I think it's been something I've really enjoyed watching from a distance, the rugby, how the game has developed over the last, 10, 15 years. And like I said, the last couple of years in particular, I think it's been absolutely mind-blown in terms of what the lads are actually achieving. It was interesting this morning listening around talk about the game and the kind of reaction publicly to the game, the England game at the weekend. I can't understand it, in all honesty. If there was any type of kind of, negativity or, that little bit of a gripe, the lads weren't that at this type of thing, I find it hard to...
I don't think there's been that really.
Yeah, I hope not.
No, there hasn't.
Yeah, I hope...
If anything, Eddie O'Sullivan is on Wednesday Night Rugby later on. We recorded it earlier, it went out on Facebook Live, and he made a very interesting point. He said on that whole area where Joe Schmidt's talking about how the pitch wasn't quite right before the game and there was just something off in the group's mood.
You sensed it, yeah.
O'Sullivan said, in my book, that's not lack of motivation. If anything, and he said he's seen it himself, he talked about the '07 World Cup, seen it a little bit at times. If anything, they've gone up the mountain and down the other side a little bit, that they're almost too hyped up, they're almost anxious. And you can go within yourself a little bit. You can, that's what can happen. And there's more rationale in that than, Ireland just couldn't quite get up for England in Dublin in the Six Nations. But that can happen as well. You can get too wound up and maybe you go within yourself. That was Eddie O'Sullivan's experience anyway. He'll expand on that later on.
I just think it's been, I've said it to before, I just think it's, I'm trying to think in Ireland team sport in my lifetime, I haven't seen it in terms of the level of performances from the Irish rugby team the last couple of years. I don't think there's any kind of parallel in terms of Irish team sports, the level that those lads have been playing at for some time now. I just think it's phenomenal.
The only equivalent would be late 80s, early 90s Irish soccer team. But even then, that was built on a load of creditable draws and near misses and all that kind of stuff. There's no sense of consistently beating the best sides in your particular field. That's never happened in Irish team sport before.
That said, the strength and depth of football versus rugby is, you can't compare. I mean, to do what they did around Italia 90, Euro 88 and USA 94, that's extraordinary.
Without a doubt.
The whole world plays football. We have to be realistic about how deep rugby is. So, you would still, let's see what happens in Japan, but you would still have the achievements of 88 and 90 above the rugby achievements thus far. You'd have to.
I don't know.
Really?
Joe, I really don't, because when I look at that rugby team, some of their performance the last couple of years, in terms of kind of looking at the coach and the management structure, it's wrestling every ounce in terms of like tactical preparation, psychological in terms of the headspace where the players, in terms of execution, like individually, collectively, what you're actually eking out of the group. I look at some of those performances and I think this just can't get any better.
I appreciate
this is close to perfection. So you
have to judge Italia 90. It was of its time. Okay, the approach, you can't compare the two approaches, but what they did was extraordinary.
The achievement, the actual day by day, game by game playing are two completely different things. The achievement of getting to a World Cup quarterfinal in 1990 is fantastic, and I don't think anybody is ever going to poo-poo that in any way, shape or form. But I just think the consistent level of performance, I think, is what Kenny's driving at here in terms of the rugby team over the past number of years. It's just been exceptional.
But to make a World Cup in the first place requires huge consistency as well.
Yeah, I'm not looking to downplay whatsoever in terms of what he achieved at that particular time. It was a wonderful team that we had. We all enjoyed them, but I would separate them just in terms of the level of performance of the rugby team. From what I've known, I don't know enough as you, Joe, in terms of like the technical level on the rugby. But as much as I've tried to educate myself from what I'm seeing on the pitch, like listening to the players speak, listening to the coach, listening to people around the game, how they talk about the team, I think it's phenomenal.
No, there's a lot to admire. There is. So we're announcing another signing this afternoon. Ronan O'Gara already announced today. We've got another one to announce in about 20 minutes' time. It's interesting. There's contracts all over the place here, and Kenny Cunningham's off-the-ball contract has been leaked. Someone got a hold of it and photocopied it.
Damn Der Spiegel again.
Never signed a contract.
Football leaks has happened. So you'll see here, if you're streaming online, we've got some Kenny Cunningham demands has emerged. Yeah, so look at this. Kenny Cunningham's contract's been leaked. Number 1, company car 05 Ford Mondeo Estate. That's an essential.
Can't beat the estate. 3 sets of golf clubs, easy.
Number 2,
easy.
Daily supply of pastries. Have to be Thunder's French fancies only.
Yeah,
Number 3,
bend on that.
Only to be addressed as Kenny, Ken or Kendo. Kenneth only by his mother. That was important. Number 4, will only share the studio with football men and or Ronan O'Gara. That's a late edition.
Why don't you?
Number 5, Leap Carb, unlimited use.
Best decision ever made. Best decision ever made.
You love your Leap Card more than anyone else I know.
Do you have the auto top-up on your Leap Card?
I fought against it for a long time.
It's class though. Do you have the automatic top-up whereby if you go below a certain level, it goes,
God, no.
Boom, gears in 20 quid?
No, I've got to literally, because I can't quite, it happens so quick when you put your Leap Card on that scanner, doesn't it? I can never quite have a look to see how much is left on it. So I'm always guessing a little bit in terms of where I need to.
The auto top-up.
It's always a gamble.
The auto top-up will change your life. You'll never have to walk that tightrope again. You'll get down to you can set, if it goes below a 5 or a 10 or whatever you go.
Immediately,
it takes another 20 quid out of your account.
This man loves his Leap Card. I said to him last night, do you want a taxi home? No. Got the bus pass.
The bus pass?
That's what he calls it. Let's get his contract situation back up. Number 6, refuses to analyse games where over 5 goals are conceded. Won't do it. He can't tolerate that kind of defending. And number 7, non-negotiable, Dennis Wise, banned.
No, that's harsh. No.
Why is it in your contract?
I've moved on. Me and Dennis have moved on since that little altercation.
Well, you need to take that out of your contract. It's obviously a hangover from another contract.
Not a big fan of contracts, I must admit. I kind of tend to... I can honestly say I never went banging on the door looking for a contract during my career. I always found it a little bit odd. It was an odd situation in terms of the contract thing. You know what I mean?
No.
Joe, do you know what I mean?
I have a clue what you mean.
I always felt an odd one. I was very fortunate in terms of the couple of clubs that I at were good in terms of Ken, manager wants to see upstairs. I'm pretty much slither of papers put in front and I pretty much... So you would signed on the dotted.
You would strike me as a very easy person to negotiate. And if I was a friend of yours or a family relative and you said, give me some advice on how I handle this whole area of my life, I would say, honestly, you strike me as someone with too much integrity for this game. They're going to take advantage. You need to get the best agent around to go in there and do your dirty work for you. And Kenny, you'll be surprised how much extra you'll get. That's the advice I would have given you. Anyone ever say that to you?
No, I never sought that kind of advice, to be honest with you. No,
Eric Hall banging your door now when you're at home. Monster.
Those lads were around at the time.
I know they were,
yeah.
Do you not think though, when you look back, you're a young man, you're in there in a boardroom environment and they give you a contract and you just sign it a bit too quickly?
No, in my case, no. There wasn't much to be haggled over. I think some young players, it would have been in their best interest.
Your image rights would have been huge though.
Some of the modelling shots we've seen of you, Ken.
Oh. Sorry, go on.
No, I didn't have to. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about that complications to that degree. But no, I just couldn't. Never liked that kind of. Found it a little bit.
It's a bit grubby. I know. I accept that.
Yeah,
but it's also the reality of you're being paid for a service. They're making huge money.
Yeah, it's true. No, but I have to say, generally speaking, I was quite looked after by my clubs. Wimbledon in particular, that's where I spent most of my time. I was there for about 8 years. I'd have to say. Very good. I mean, even before the talk came, we might spoke about this last night briefly. Even before the talk came into your head, I've played a few games now. I'm still owning a couple of. Even before that thought entered your mind, generally, upstairs the secretary wants to see you, sit down, look down, please, boom. Yeah. Wouldn't have kind of blown you away in terms of what they're offering you, but always a little bit healthy bit on top, and
that's fair enough. Well, I guess
a goal bonus.
Yeah, once you don't feel undervalued is as important as anything. Time's getting away from us, so big things happening on the GAA front here and off the ball. The hurling show is back this season. Excellent. If you missed out on the hurling show last year, do not miss out on it this season. Shane Stapleton presenting it tomorrow on all our social channels, 3 o'clock, and that's where you'll get it every Thursday. And he's a dual player this season, Shane. As many of you will have seen already today, there was the first episode of the Gaelic Football Show. It was live this afternoon, 12:30. Shane presenting that as well. So that's every Wednesday for the rest of the season. Offtheball.com if you want to watch that back. And I do want to tell you as well about a very special event which is close to our hearts here on Off the Ball. It's coming up at the Royal Marine Hotel in Dunleary. We are joining forces with Coola GAA to present an evening for Amanda Stapleton. And that's on Wednesday, the 20th of February. It's a fantastic cause, and we'll be joined on the night by a host of brilliant people, including Derek McGrath. Many more names to be announced over the coming days, and every penny raised on the night will go to the Amanda Stapleton Benefit Fund, which is absolutely worthy of your time and money. Tickets just €20, and you can get a table as well for €200. It will be a brilliant night, trust us. And if you want to inquire about tickets or tables, then the email address is adulthurlingcoola, as in adult hurling, C-U-A-L-A, Coola GAA club we're talking about here, adulthurlingcoola@gmail.com. So do get involved. It's a fantastic cause. It'll be a brilliant night on Wednesday, February 20th, and that is an evening for Amanda Stapleton. Okay. Let's get into the news round. We'll bring in our new GAA signing very shortly. Let's get team news from Goodison, Rich. That's the pressing issue.
Yeah, Manchester City have the Premier League's top spot in their crosshairs tonight. A win for Pep Guardiola's side away to Everton will see them replace Liverpool at the Summit on goal difference. And with the team news from Goodison Park, here's Shane Pennington.
Everton boss Marco Silva makes 5 changes from the side that lost here 3-0 to Wolves on Saturday. John Joe Kenny, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Luca Dina, Idrissa Gana Gay and Bernard will start, They replace Seamus Coleman, Leighton Baines, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Richarlison, who drops to the bench, and Cenk Tosun. Whilst for Manchester City, Pep Guardiola makes 2 changes from the side that beat Arsenal on Sunday. John Stones and Leroy Sané both start. They replace Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne, who drop down to the bench. At Goodison Park, it's Everton and Manchester City.
So it's a very strong City bench as well. They have Danilo to come on if they need him, but they have Sterling, they have De Bruyne, they have Mahrez, they have Jesus, which is frightening, really. Your thoughts on Seamus Coleman's dropping, I suppose we have to call it, Kenny?
Yeah, well, you're never quite sure, I suppose. I mean, there's a potential for maybe a slight injury there. Maybe the manager thinking fresh pair of legs, but yeah, you can't get away from the fact that he's been taken out of the previous game.
It's not the first time this season. He's had 1 or 2 other moments. Now he's come back.
Yeah,
but that's a blow to him. Man City coming to Goodison.
Yeah, that's tough to take. I would imagine. I mean, Seamus has been kind of a real leader in that team for the last a number of years. They're probably their outstanding player. I'd suggest captain of the team as well. So that's a tough one to take. If the manager's put his arm around him the last couple of days and said, "Look, Seamus, I'm leaving you out. There's no hard way of telling you this." That's hard to accept, but he'll have to suck it up. He's on the bench tonight. He'll have to support the team as best he can, put that disappointment to the side. But
his form generally, have you seen much of him of late?
Haven't seen enough. I thought it was a little bit too easy. I was asked this some time ago about he's making a lot of mistakes, etc., which I didn't quite think actually stood up. I looked at a couple of the goals people were talking about. I think some people are being overly critical. The answer is probably no. I haven't seen enough of him in enough minutes to make a judgment call like that. But obviously we know the extent of the injury that he's come back from. Obviously getting to that age. Seamus is such a dynamic player, such a magnificent athlete. And when you sustain an injury like that, never easy to get yourself back in physically at the same level that you were at. And if that is the case, for whatever the reason that potentially Seamus maybe can't get around the pitch at the speed that he was previously, as dynamic a player as he was before, he'll just have to modify his game accordingly. It's as simple as that. You know, just because maybe he's lost a yard at pace here or there doesn't mean that his career is ended, certainly not Everton Football Club. He'll just have to recognise that and just tailor his game accordingly. But yeah, it'd be a tough one to take.
Rich, let's rip through a few stories here.
Yeah, the FA Cup 5th round lineup will be completed tonight as well. West Brom entertain Brighton in the last of the 4th round replays, with the winners earning a home tie with Derby. Wes Hoolahan starts for the home side tonight against a largely second string Brighton outfit, and there's an 8:05 start at the Hawthorns. The Metropolitan Police in London and West Ham themselves are investigating Islamophobic abuse aimed at Mo Salah. In a video posted to Twitter from Monday's game at the London Stadium, a supporter can be heard aiming the abuse at the Liverpool forward as he prepared to take a corner. The Met have been made aware of the video and are reviewing the footage, but no arrests have yet been made. West Ham themselves are examining the stadium's CCTV footage and working with the police to identify the perpetrator, with the club saying anyone found guilty of the abuse will be banned for life. The GAA have recorded significant drops in both attendance and gate receipts for 2018. The association's annual financial report recorded a drop in gate receipts by 14% to €29.6 million, while attendances across the hurling and football championships are down by 18%. Despite there being 6 more football championship games, attendances fell by close to 113,000. The GA's commercial income was up 2.3 million to €19.6 million, while Croke Park itself generated a surplus of 10.9 million, with 8 million of that given over to Central Council.
Be interesting to see if this becomes a trend, but it's hard to make too many judgments in the first year.
They blamed the lack of replays. Well, obviously lack of replays was one of the factors in it dropping so significantly, because I think each of those ones brought in a couple of mil. But there being 6 more games and being a drop in attendance, it should be worry enough.
Yeah, I would have thought the Super 8s would offset that.
But then I think John Horham's interview today saying that people with the Super 8s are then picking and choosing which games they'll go to, which is absolutely fair enough.
Yeah.
And perhaps the Croke Park element of that hasn't helped either. Maybe even the smaller grounds being the home for some Super 8 games hasn't helped either, in terms of just sheer bodies and amount of cash coming through the.
Did it differentiate between the GAA and the hurling?
Yeah. I think the hurling is okay, and
the down as well though. The hurling
down as well, but
tipping the hurling as well.
But that was down to the fact that the round robin in the in the hurling championship, in each of the provincial championships, would have been going to the provincial councils rather than through the GAA. So the actual GAA championship matches, through lack of qualifiers further on down the line.
Okay,
right, gotcha.
That's a fair point. We might talk about that tomorrow, get someone to do an analysis of it for us.
Nantes are threatening legal action over the transfer fee owed by Cardiff City for the disappeared striker Emiliano Sala. Sala and his pilot David Ibbotson were on board the Piper Malawi plane that disappeared near Guernsey on January 21st. Cardiff have withheld the first of their scheduled payments of the £15 million until investigations even into the crash have finished. The BBC report that Nantes are threatening action if they don't receive the first of those instalments inside the next 10 days. Ulster head coach Dan McFarland says it's a massive boost that Marcel Coetzee has committed his future to the province. The South African flanker has signed a 3-year contract extension, keeping him at Kingsman Stadium until at least the summer of 2022. Coetzee has topped the stats tables for Ulster this year in terms of carries, tackles and turnovers, both in the Pro 14 and the Heineken Champions Cup.
And finally, someone anyway has been willing to come out and say Sergio Garcia's a big baby. That
someone is Brooks Koepka, has become the first top golfer to publicly criticise Sergio for damaging greens at the Saudi International.
5 greens. He didn't just have a temper tantrum and damage one and then damaged another. He damaged one and then another and then another.
5 separate
and then another
temper tantrums.
And then another. And had an unbelievable temper tantrum in a bunker. The green damage has not been caught on camera. The bunker tantrum is on camera.
Damaged sand though, can you, to be honest?
But wait and you see wait and you see the
crushed sand in the bunkers.
The point is you'll get a sense of his behaviour. I mean, he's like...
What are we talking about here? We're talking about literally spearing the greens with his
club.
You can get, when they sometimes ground the club, they'll bang it. They'll kind of bang it onto the porting surface. So,
maybe it was a quiet protest at Saudi Arabia's recent human rights controversy.
Well, given that he was paid like £1 million appearance fee.
He's taking the money and getting his own back, Joe.
Yeah. His own fellow competitors complained. That was how he was caught with the green damage. So he was doing enough damage for the groups behind him to say, what is going on here? And in about 2007, when he missed a very short putt in Miami, Garcia did a little spit into the cup as if to say, screw you, hole, and then walked off. So he's a bit of a baby. Anyway, sorry, Brooks Koepka had a go at him?
Yeah, Koepka is the man having a go at him. The reigning US Open champion and PGA Championship winner. Didn't mince his words when he was talking to the Playing Through podcast.
It's frustrating as a player to see, to act like that. The disrespect to everybody. To act like a child out there is not, it's not cool. It's not setting a good example, and it's not cool to us. Showing us no respect or anybody else. I mean, Dustin didn't have a problem with it.
No,
I think, Dustin didn't have a problem with it.
He did not.
That's just Sergio acting like a child. I mean, it's unfortunate, that he's got to do that and complain. Everybody's got to play the same golf course. So,
right.
You know what? I mean, I didn't play very good, but you didn't really see anybody else doing that. And
no.
I mean, you're 40 years old, so you got to grow up eventually.
Oh, boom. Brooks Koepka. Ain't in the law. What are you making that face at me for?
You should get better content like that on your podcast.
Other podcasts in golf are available.
I don't think, I can't see Sergio marching into the clubhouse next golf event and confronting
Brooks
Popo himself, can you?
Wouldn't think so.
It's not going to happen.
Anything to say, Sergio? Didn't think so. Right, we're over time. Back in a sec.
Off the Ball on News Talk. News Talk Breakfast.
The skyrocketing cost of insurance all this week. We have been hearing the effect it is having around Ireland, including on the dance floor.